So you got to invest your resources in the right things if you want your tree to grow.
Now, I know there was lessons learned on their end too,
Right.
but I can't control the lessons that they learned. I can only control the lessons I've learned. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of Next Level University, where we teach you how to level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode, number 624, What Your Life Could Be in the Right Community.
Oh, yeah.
Today, for episode number 625, How to Know If You're Wasting, parentheses, Jeffin, close parentheses, your time.
That's the title.
Yes.
So I'm going to open this up with an analogy, an example. Yeah, it's an analogy. So I've been starting to think of people like trees. I know.
Have a good one.
Yeah, take care. No, so lately I've been doing this with my clients. I've been doing a lot of free listener calls lately, which is awesome. Been getting to know you guys and gals.
Same.
And there's this thing I've been doing called the Life Map. That's what I called it. And basically what it is it's okay, put your name in the center of a page. You have a blank sheet of paper, okay? Put your name in the center, draw a circle in the center, and put your name in the middle of it. Okay. All of the persons, places, things, and ideas that you invest your time into, time, energy, and money, are a relationship. So this podcast is one of them for me. Emilia and I's relationship is one of them for me. Fitness is one of them for me. So imagine you're at the center of the page, and everything that you invest your time in is a root that goes through the soil. Okay, and I'll try to explain this a little bit.
Can we create a PDF? You think?
Absolutely.
We'll have so below we'll create a PDF, and you can just go to download it. We'll have it in Google Drive, and you'll be able to download it so you can actually see, and you can listen along. Right, so if you've gotten to this point and you don't know what we're talking about, download the PDF while you listen.
Absolutely. And so here's the other thing too. I'm gonna create 2 PDFs. One of them will be a completed life map of me, and that way you can use that as an example. The other one will be sort of like a worksheet where you can fill in yours.
Perfect.
Okay. And so here's the idea. Imagine you're a tree. Some of us are redwoods, some of us are oaks, some of us are birch trees, some of us are Japanese maples. So we're all different types of trees.
What kind of tree am I?
A tree trunk. No, I'm kidding. You're a redwood.
I'm a redwood.
I think.
Thanks,
yeah.
man.
Absolutely, brother. And so the idea of a tree is it wants to grow as tall and as strong as it possibly can. And this is kind of the idea. So imagine you're an apple tree, and the fruit is the apples, and the fruit is the results that you get in your life. And the fruit falls on the ground, and on the ground it feeds the soil, and then the soil becomes more nutritious, which then feeds the tree. So it's sort of like a yin and a yang circle of life type of thing. But the basic point of this whole thing is that you have relationships with everything in your life, and what you're investing your time, energy, and money into is either feeding you or bleeding you. Everything is a nutrient. Dave Meltzer talks about that. Mm-hmm. So every person in your life is either nutritious or toxic. Everything you do is either nutritious or toxic. And I'll explain. So I was on the phone with a listener, and we were doing her life map. And one of the things that she's spending a lot of time on, and she admitted this to me, and I appreciate her for being so vulnerable and open, is she spends time doing nothing. She literally, one of her bubbles in this life map was spending time doing nothing. And I said, okay, how much time, energy, and money are you investing into doing nothing, 0 to 10? She said, honestly, a 7. I said, how much fulfillment, joy, love, value, money, how much is it feeding you back? So you're feeding it at a level 7. How much is it feeding you back? She said 0. I said, okay, so far out of all the roots of your tree, this is the least nutritious relationship you have. This is the most toxic relationship you have. You're investing a 7 of your precious time, and you're getting nothing back. That's not a good use of your time. Okay, so every single one of us. So for me, I love watching movies. For you love watching UFC.
Oh, yeah.
Social media is usually one of these bubbles. And one of them is your family and friends. One of them is your career. All these different things. Now, I want you to imagine doing this exercise and figuring out, okay, I'm feeding this thing. Okay, I'm feeding this relationship at a 5, but honestly, I'm only getting a 2 back. okay, there's two decisions. You either do less of that because that's a toxic relationship or not a positive relationship, or you figure out how to tweak it so that it feeds you more. So this person's most toxic relationship, quote unquote, was her relationship with sitting around doing nothing, which she kind of knows, I got to do less of that. I got to get my stuff together. But one of the other bubbles was prayer. She wakes up every morning and she prays. I said, okay, how much are you investing into that? How much are you feeding prayer? And she said 8. I said, okay, how much are you getting back? She said, oh my God, 90. And you could see her light up like a Christmas tree when she said it. I said, that's a very healthy, positive relationship. Very last thing I'll say. If Kevin and I have $1,000 and we invest 200 of it in Apple, 200 of it in Amazon, 200 of it in Tesla, 200 of it in Kmart, and 200 of it in the Next Level University, what's the worst investment of those 5 things? Kmart, by far. Why? Because storefront is going away, right? Amazon is going to grow. And again, we're going on probability, so it's possible Kmart crushes it. And if you're out there and you work at Kmart, I apologize. But the point is are we allocating our only human resources, aka time, energy, and money, into investments that are going to pay off? If we put that $1,000 all into Apple, we're going to make a lot more money than if we put it all into Kmart, most likely. So you got to invest your resources in the right things if you want your tree to grow, and that's the frame.
That's a good explanation. One of the running jokes Alan and I have is he'll message me, and I'll be like, yeah, I'll get to that right after I finish this game of Call of Duty. The reason we have that joke is because things were kind of flowing.
Oh, yeah.
I was getting clients, things were great, and I was playing more Call of Duty than I should have been, and that was a hard conversation to have with myself of, Kev, you're Jeffing here. I know you're excusing it away by saying, like, well, the income's on the up, like, listens are on the up, everything's great. Like, why can't you just hang out for a little bit? But then it gets to the point where it's no longer serving.
Yep.
So I was putting maybe at the high point, I don't know. I was putting maybe a 5 of time in, and I was probably getting a 2 on return.
Right.
And I felt bad about it after.
Mm-hmm.
I genuinely felt bad. Now, the first thing I did was disconnect my PlayStation and hide it. That was the first thing I did. And then I said, okay, what can I do to make this more of a win-win? So my buddy Matt, who I don't get to see a ton because he's an entrepreneur grinding, and he has a full-time job, and he's working 90 hours a week. And us, obviously, we're grinding.
Right.
I'll play with him virtually.
Right.
So we can be on the same team, and we can play together, and we can chat, and we can catch up. So we might do that once a week, maybe.
Right.
And then maybe every other weekend, I'll go hang out with him for 5 or 6 hours.
Right.
So I don't really do it during the week anymore. Occasionally I will if it's 7 o'clock at night. We're recording this, and tonight we have a speech at 7, from 7 to 8. When I get home, I might stay up and play for a little bit. I don't know. Probably not because I've been up since 4. But I think it's important. And I think one of the things is you have to be honest with yourself.
Yeah, man.
And particularly with relationships, how much is that relationship actually feeding you?
Right.
We've talked about this in the past. I've been very open that at one point I had what I call a situationship, where I didn't really see it going anywhere. This other person did, and I didn't want to continue leading them on because I felt like I did that for a while, honestly. And I had to be honest with, I don't think this is going to work. Right now, I'm dedicating a 5 to it, and I'm only getting a 2 out, and I don't ever anticipate that changing.
Right.
So I have to let that go. It's not serving me. And some of those conversations are the hardest ones you can have, but they also can be the most beneficial ones.
I want to remind everyone out there, too, and look at what Kevin did there with Call of Duty. He took what was a relationship that had become more negative and less positive, and then you reallocated it so that now it's more positive. Do it with your friend, reallocate time. Instead of now what is it? Instead of a 5 and a 2 back, what is it now?
It's way higher. It's probably, the time I'm putting in is way less. I'm probably putting in a 2 or 3.
And getting what?
I would say 7.
Right.
7 or 8.
See, fulfillment with friendship, right? So every single relationship in our life is like that.
Yeah.
You can make a relationship better. And so if you have a struggling relationship with a family member or a friend out there, it doesn't mean you need to completely cut them out. What if you, instead of going out drinking with your friend, where that ends up bleeding you more than feeding you, why not, go to a bookstore and buy books together or whatever? Again, the thing here is it's an investor's mindset.
Ladies and gentlemen, one of the biggest issues for our listeners that we've seen is not everybody has people in their corner trying to lift them to the next level, and even the people who are trying to help don't always know how.
That's why Kevin and I created Next Level Group Coaching. It's a 3-month program on teams of 10 with all people committed to achieving their goals. Click the link in the show notes for more information.
And we only take 10 people at a time, so make sure you get in quick.
And I want everyone to understand that it sounds selfish, but it's not, and here's why. If you want your tree to grow as much as you possibly can, you're going to need the most nutritious soil possible. And you can put the best tree in the world in toxic soil, and it will not grow. You need rain, you need sunshine, you need nutritious soil, and you can you're not a tree. You can replant yourself. You can replant yourself trying to grow to your maximum potential and your greatest level of contribution while investing in persons, places, things, and ideas that are toxic or that bleed you. It's a losing game. And I didn't realize this, but I do think that there have been times in my life where I've stayed in toxic soil too long and I've rationalized it, and I no longer do that. I'm very, very proactive with, I would argue that most of the relationships in my life right now are very positive with persons, places, things, and ideas. I think where I and I'll just admit here too, my movies. I love movies. So like right now I've been watching the Hobbit series. It's a long series. I mean, these are 2.5 hour movies, right? I don't have a free 2.5 hours, on a weekday. But sometimes I go a little longer and stay up a little later than I should. And I know that. But, if that's my most toxic relationship, I'm doing okay. And so just figure this out. I mean, I've done this with all of my clients, and one of my clients actually yesterday I was doing this with, and he was like, social media. And I'm like, okay, well, how much are you investing in it? He's like, probably a 4. What are you getting back? He's like, a 2. I'm like, okay. Imagine someone who invests more than they ever get back consistently. That tree is actually dying. You know that saying of if you're not growing, you're dying? Mm-hmm. A fine wine grows on a vine. No, but you're either growing or you're dying, and no tree will ever grow without the right nutrients. And I think that when you say things like, oh, well, my old relationship wasn't feeding me, so I should leave, it's like that appears selfish. It's not. It's selfless, because the fruit that you provide to the world is going to be bigger. It's going to be better.
And it was what's best for myself and that person.
Right.
That's the other thing. This person wasn't happy with me. I remember I got a, hey, F you from that person. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Again, nothing against them. I understand why you're upset, genuinely. But I also know in a year, 2 years, 5 years, when you find somebody who's head over heels for you, you'll...
Was she happy with you while you were together? She wasn't happy with you after.
She was happy with me when we were together. Yeah.
Do you think it was a positive relationship for her then?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's not that it was negative for me. It just... I was going through a bout of loneliness, and somebody reached out, and it was like, interesting, this person's very beautiful, and we started spending time together, and it just... I don't know that I was even ready for a relationship at that point. We were new in business. Like, there was a lot happening. We were traveling more.
So at first it was fine.
At first it was fine.
And then eventually, how did you know when to start reallocating time?
Unfortunately, I waited way longer than I should have. We had those conversations. I knew that. You knew that with me telling you.
I've done that too.
Yeah. When I started to feel out of alignment, when I knew that our feelings didn't match, I knew that it was time to break it off, and I didn't do it as soon as I should have.
For our listeners, why? Were you not as aware? Like, what if you had done this life map? No, but
life map.
Yeah. What can people do to not fall victim to that? Because I stayed in a relationship way longer than I should have too.
Understand why you're in it. There was so much uncertainty in the business, right? At that time, I don't know. I think I was just trying to grab onto railings.
Right.
The health was fine. Health, wealth, and love, if we were to break into that. Health was good. Wealth wasn't good, because at that point, we weren't really making any money.
Right.
And love, I thought that's what I needed at that time, because I think I felt empty. I felt like it was that time. And
this episode is how to know if you're wasting your time. That's how you know if you're wasting your time, is when you're feeding something that is no longer feeding your mind, your body, your heart, and your soul.
And remember this, and this is an important distinction, especially when it comes to other people. That time I did get a return on. but it was more lessons than anything else.
Right.
Like, it's easy to say I wasted that time.
Or what a better way is I could have invested
Yes.
that time better.
I think when it comes to a person, it's almost like, did I waste their time? Now, I know there was lessons learned on their end too,
Right.
but I can't control the lessons that they learned. I can only control the lessons I've learned. So I know it wasn't a waste on my end. I learned so much about myself. I learned so much about things.
But it wasn't optimally invested
No.
either.
No.
And I think that's a really important distinction, Kev, because it's the same concept of if you were to invest in stocks. It's not like one stock is a waste of money.
Yeah.
But it might not be as good of an investment as
For some
Apple
reason, the
or
timer,
Amazon. or
timer just
whatever.
was like, I'm
not going to go.
not going to make any noise, but I'm done.
Okay.
So
And I think that's what I want to make sure the listeners take away from this is right now you have 3 human resources if you're listening. You have time, which by the way is finite. You only have a certain amount of time. If you live in this country, statistically, if you're male, 72, if you're female, 74, by the time we're that age, if you're listening and you're our age, it'll probably be more in the 80s or the 90s, statistically. Okay? Time, it's finite though. You only have so much of it. Energy. Energy is conscious thought. It's movement. It's calories. It's energy. It's semi-finite. I'll explain that very quickly. If I run a mile today and I run a mile tomorrow, most likely next week I'll be able to run a mile and a half. So energy increases over time. So because your capabilities increase over time. So it's semi-finite. It doesn't technically run out, but yet in a day your willpower does drain. It's just you can grow it over time, if that makes sense. And then the last one is money, which is infinite. There's no actual cap to how much money you can make. I know that sounds weird to people because it feels like the most finite resource ever sometimes, especially when you don't have it. But like where you invest your time and your energy will determine how much money you make. And where you invest your money is going to determine how much money you make. At the end of the day, where you invest your time, your energy, and your money comes down to what you focus on. If you're focused on Kevin and I, health, wealth, and love, that's what we're doing on this show. Every single time you listen to us, we're helping you invest your time, energy, and money more effectively to have a higher quality of life in health and wealth and in love. Your life map. Download the PDF. Take a look. I did this with a client yesterday. I did this with another client on Saturday. I did this with Emilia on Sunday, kind of. Where are you what are you investing your time, energy, and money into? What are you feeding that is bleeding you? When you become hyperconscious, when you become aware of that, you're going to reallocate your resources. It doesn't make sense to bleed when you can feed. It just doesn't. And hopefully this was helpful.
we have a change, a big announcement. Actually, I figure we'll make it this week because it's happening next week. We might as well.
Perfect.
So, as we often do, we have made a little bit of a change when it comes to Meetup Monday. So Meetup Monday will not change in terms of in terms of where you find us. Join Next Level Nation. We'll be live in there from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Okay? But instead of doing a 20-minute Zoom room after, Alan and I are going to stay in Next Level Nation via StreamYard, but you guys don't really need to know that. And we're going to take questions for the last 20 minutes.
Yep.
We're going to take that Q&A, and we're going to repurpose that for a 6th episode of NLU. Now, don't worry. We're not going to reveal names. Everything will be anonymous. But if you've ever wanted to be on Next Level University, this is your opportunity. If you ask a question and we answer it, you'll get to hear us talk about your stuff on the air live.
So on StreamYard, we basically stream to Next Level Nation, Kevin's Facebook profile, and our public Facebook page, which is still called the Hyperconscious Podcast.
If anybody knows anybody at Facebook, please reach out because it's hard to change your page name.
And you can comment your questions on any of those 3 places. So wherever you're watching live on those Monday nights at 6 p.m., you can comment your questions. If you do want a question asked, you can DM Kevin or myself your question in advance, and we'll make sure Amy has that in advance for a topic. Like if you see a topic come through, okay, we're going to be talking about influence on Monday. Let's say we're not. But like if you have a question about that, you can DM us ahead of time. And then that way, when you listen to the show, when it drops the following Tuesday, you'll have your question be asked. So please send us your questions. Also, if you want to join Next Level Nation, there's a link in the show notes.
Boom. And what was I going to say last? Oh, just FYI, you said it drops Tuesday.
The following Tuesday.
The Q&A is going to drop
Thursday. Yeah.
Okay.
We should probably give them the whole thing. So Monday is always an episode with Kevin and I.
So Monday is a short episode.
Yep.
Monday is usually 5 to 7 minutes. Tuesday will be the previous week's Meetup Monday.
Yep.
Wednesday is going to be our 15-minute episode.
Yep.
15 to 20. Thursday will be the 20-minute Q&A.
Yep.
Friday will be the long 25-ish minute episode. And then Sunday will be a guest and or a speech that we gave that you guys haven't seen yet.
6 episodes a week.
It's wild.
It is wild.
Just getting started. Also, Alan and I both have some spots available for coaching. I actually just started working with somebody else for Next Level Podcast Solutions, so we have a new Next Level NLPS client. But if you're looking for mindset, if you're looking for productivity, habits, clarity around your life, your goals, and you really want somebody there who's been through it all, I would absolutely love to help you, and I know Alan is doing the same.
Yeah, I have 2 spots open as well. If you want more clarity, you want more commitment, you want more confidence, you want more consistency, especially that one, and a better community, reach out to Kevin or myself, and one-on-one coaching will change your life. We have several one-on-one coaches, Evan Carmichael, Dave Meltzer, Nick Cavuto. It's remarkable what can happen.
It is. Ladies and gentlemen, we love you. We appreciate you. And as always, we do not have fans. We have family. We will see you on the next one.
Talk to you soon.